And we are live. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of For the Minions, the weekly show where we talk about the Paragon remakes and Ethereal. We got a lot of stuff to go over tonight. First up, the order of March today, Fault. We're going to talk about talk about Fault closing its servers November 1st, and then we'll go in and talk about Predecessor having early access gameplay of Kallari. Overprime had another OP for the record, and then we'll talk about Ethereal changing the design of their structures, that being their towers and their shrines. I'm your host, the Mangoose. Unfortunately, Jelly Knees had an appointment to get his asshole bleached, but he did reach out to Stunt to have Stunt replace him for this evening. So, Stunt, how you doing, man?
Good. It's always a pleasure being here. It's my first time sharing a screen with Viking too.
Yeah, Viking Jedi.
Do we not share it on partner panel, or was that we just shared the show together, huh?
We were just in a waiting room.
Okay, that's fine.
Playing with whatever we were playing with. So,
I mean, I know what I was playing with, you know. So,
Speaking of, we also have the Viking Jedi. How you doing this week?
I am doing super good, man. Very, very fun week. It's very hard to complain. It's been beautiful here in Southern California, so I'm chilling.
Right on. So let's get right into it. And oddly enough, we're starting with Fault. Why can I not words today when it comes to Fault? I don't know. But
you just got broken up about it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. You're emotional, Mangoose. It's okay.
So as I mentioned, as a lot of you already know, Fault is going to officially close their servers on November 1st. They had a good run of it. They were the first to hit early access. They've been up and running for like 2 years now. And in the background, in the screen that's showing off some of the skins, a lot of them that they had completely done, and some of the things that they were going to add into Fault, which makes this a little bit harder to stomach, to tell you the truth, because it's a lot of the stuff that we have been asking for. It's a lot of the stuff that I think if they would have released it along with free to play, they may not be in this position right now. So it's it kind of sucks that they had so much stuff up their sleeve, and it was actually pretty good stuff, but they just never released it. And here we are. I will say though that they've been telling me for months and months that this was going to happen and this was going to happen, then it never happened. So, you know, them showing us these assets is cool, but would they have ever actually put them into the game? I don't really know, but I don't know. It's a little bittersweet for me. I don't think there ever needed to be 3 different Paragon remakes. There doesn't need to be 2 different Paragon remakes. So, you know, one of them had to go. We all knew it was going to be Fault, and it was Fault, and that's official on the November 1st. Still sad to see, but I think it was kind of inevitable. So, Viking Jedi, what are your thoughts?
I mean, yeah, I think it's definitely something that, you know, we've been talking about a lot, especially once, like, you know, Predecessor and Overprime really started to ramp up, you know, the output, you know, leading up to their own early access. You know, I mentioned all the time, I was like, you know, I really feel like if Fault wants to be able to compete, and they say they do, they're on a timer. They need to be putting out content now. They cannot wait. They need to be, you know, especially with the, you know, going to free to play. That was, you know, probably the last hoorah, and they fumbled it. And this is something that I think Mangoose has said constantly. You know, the biggest issue with Fault is SMS. They kind of keep fumbling the ball. They kind of keep messing this thing up. You know, but being there part of partner panel and getting a chance to listen to some of the things that the dev said, like Arma, it seems like there was some, you know, complications in the leadership area, making it a little bit difficult for maybe some of the things that we as the community and them internally wanted to do to get accomplished. So it is sad to see, though. I think, you know, for a lot of us who really loved, you know, Paragon back in the day, Fault was the Paragon we could have. You know, it was the Paragon you have at home. You want new Paragon, sure, but, you know, we have Paragon at home, and it was Fault. It wasn't the best all the time, but I really did feel like, you know, like, to Mangoose's credit, it got better over time. It was slow, very slow at times, but this most recent iteration of Fault wasn't actually that bad of a game. I think that it was pretty good. The worst part about it was there was nobody playing it, and that was a damn shame, because it's good enough to have players playing. So what about you, Stunt? How did you feel about it?
Real quick, F6, thank you for the membership. And I'm glad you got the squirrel duck logo.
It is hard to swallow that pill after you find out that so many updates were going to come out with a lot of the stuff like Mangu said that we were looking for, right? But at the same time, listening to Balix talk on the partner panel and having a chance to talk to Arma, it wasn't fair for SMS2 where people were taking on a lot more roles that they shouldn't have. That if their expertise applied to one role or one job and they were taking on a lot more, it makes it harder for a company to move forward when that happens. It no matter how big you are, like if you've given tasks that you're not used to or tasks that you're not able to complete, yeah, obviously it's going to be a lot harder, and it is sad. The thing for me that hurts the most is these guys wanted a game to succeed. These guys wanted this game to go forward. They put their hard-earned money and everything on this game. It was their first game. Lack of experience obviously gets in the way when you're creating something like this. It's not easy. But was there a way around it? I mean, we wouldn't know. This is something that these guys are going to know, and these guys are going to have to talk amongst themselves. And like I did say on the partner panel, I don't really say goodbye because you don't know what can happen. There's been many games, like Windu said too, that have come back out of the dead and have succeeded. You don't know. You don't know what they're thinking and what they can do with it.
Yeah. I do think it's going to be in this case, not that it's impossible, because I do agree that it's not impossible. I just think that it starts at the head. Any opportunity to revamp something like Fault and have a coming back is going to need a change at the forefront. The leadership needs to either pivot, come to terms with that their vision wasn't working, or whatever it is, and put it in the hands of somebody who knows how to get things done. I mean, Arma said it a lot, was that, there was a lot of hats, a lot of people trying to do the same things, a lot of ideas getting kicked around, but not any execution of it. Money probably wasn't being spent the right ways. I mean, we can speculate all day, but at the end of the day, the failure is there. It just wasn't enough, and they had two something years to be able to make it work, and unfortunately they weren't able to. I obviously applaud the guys for doing what they could, and this to me proves that being a dev is fucking hard. It's a hard space to be in, and I mean, we see AAA studios suffer in the same ways. We just obviously are very close to the SMS, because we've been part of it for the last 2 years, and I also think that communication was a big one. Whoever was stifling the ability to allow people to talk more, I'm sure Arma would have loved to come on to more partner panels or even here on FTM and talk to the community firsthand, answer more questions. But I would imagine that someone was saying, no, we're going to keep a close lid on that stuff. And I think the lack of communication made it harder for people to be as invested. So maybe that's also why money started becoming harder and harder to come by, because I'm not invested in the game because they're not invested in me as a player. And that's just my take on it, obviously. What were your thoughts, Mingus?
Well, I mean, I think we have Arma in chat. I want to acknowledge that. Arma's one of the good guys. He was one of the good ones that was really driving Fault forward and having a positive influence on the game overall. But
love Arma.
Here's the thing with SMS is, we've said it before, it was always 2 steps forward, 1 step back. I think Mike Wolfie in the partner panel said it best when we were talking about the Muriel skin. Like, when she took off, her sandals probably would have left a wall that blocked people from moving or something. Like, every time something cool was added into Fault, there was something that took away from it. And a lot of that had to do with they didn't have enough people that were specialized in one certain field. They just had too many people trying to do too many jobs. I really do hope that somebody like Arma and Balix and some of these other guys that we all got to know so well are able to use this on a resume to get a job, a more stable job with a different game or something. Maybe they can move on to one of the other Paragon remakes. We don't know. That's the other thing. I would love to see some of these unused assets like this, like the Phase Winter skin, and they had some great skins lined up. The Muriel skin, the Lifeguard skin. I would love to see those either given or sold to either Predecessor or Overprime. we haven't seen much in the way of Predecessor as far as skins go. We saw the Jailer Murdoch skin, which was decent. Overprime, I think, can cover themselves as far as skins go. So if they could like give these skins to Pred, or at least sell them to Pred or something like that, I think that would be a really cool thing to see, because I would love to see a lot of these skins in action. And it wasn't just skins, it was, they had the ARAM map lined up, they had replay system lined up, something I've been asking for freaking ever. They had the voting system at the end of the games lined up. They had a lot of stuff lined up for Vault, but it just never did come into fruition. As far as somebody coming in and reviving the game, I don't think it will happen. I don't think it should happen. Like I said before, we don't need 3 Paragon remakes. We never did need 3 Paragon remakes. And I really don't think anybody should come in and try and save Vault in its current state. The devs, yes, pick those Omega Studios,
100%.
Soul Leave, whoever, Undying Games. They're really good guys. Don't pin the leadership of SMS's fuck ups on their people, because they had really good people working on this game. And I would love to see them go forward and see them in some of these other games and see what they could do if they have a decent support system behind them.
I couldn't agree more, to be honest. I think that it would be almost a waste of the talent spent if one of these other studios didn't get these guys on board in some way, because you have now their experience and understanding all the pitfalls that can come through. I mean, it would, to me, it would be the first types of people that I would want to grab up, is be like, hey, you understand the pitfalls more than anyone else in this space of what could happen if these things aren't prioritized or these things aren't taken serious. So I agree. I would love to see, hopefully all of these guys find jobs in some aspects, still working in the devs, space. And I do agree with you. I do think that, the likelihood that, well, 3 for sure, but and I've said this every time, I think it's an uphill battle for even one of these studios to make it out. It's that hard. It's so competitive of a space. MOBAs in general, as we know, especially here in Western, are struggling to maintain, even the big numbers like that, Dota and League are putting out. They're declining slowly but surely. They're not now in the Eastern market. It's still very much one of the most popular genres in MOBAs, but that's not enough to sustain a game for a really long time, unless they're just gonna, have the craziest monetization screens, which Overprime could have, right? And they maybe will survive that. I do think though that the space itself is difficult. I mean, even Smite being the only, third person MOBA that was around on a big enough scale still struggles to get beyond, 15 to 20,000 concurrent players. It's not even coming anywhere near the big numbers that we see for Dota and League of Legends, which are in the, millions of concurrent players. So I don't think it's impossible, but I still think that even with these other studios, so that's to Mingus' point. I think Fault in its current iteration probably does not need to enter back into the gaming in this space. If it did, it would need to be, again, combining with the other two in some capacity where they all just become this mega space. And even then it might not still work. So it would be a pretty big ask, I think, for anyone to try and take on the title Fault at this point.
No, if you do come back, please change that title. Please. Whatever you do not keep that title. Whatever you do. And I agree with you guys. I agree with Mangoose. If you take a dev like Arma, for example, right? Because I had the privilege of testing for Fault and working with Arma. His leadership skills, his organization, the way he listens to your ideas, the way he writes it down and he delivers it, right? Is amazing. And any company should be lucky enough to have Arma and some of the other devs who had their hearts set to get in this game forward.
Anybody know where the name Fault came from? I have no idea.
Oh, really?
Holy shit, Arma.
That's actually nuts. Yeah, we're both reading the same thing. And I'm also going to throw this out there, Arma. This is for you, but anybody else that you want. I'm going to volunteer my wife. If you need some help with someone to review your resume, she won't write it for you, but she's one of the smartest people I know, and she works in the corporate field, and she's a UX designer lead. If you need some help reviewing and giving some critique on your resume, let me know. You can send it over to me. Shoot me a DM if you're curious. But
there you go, networking.
Yeah.
But it does bring about too a fear that I have for both Overprime and Predecessor is one of Fault's problems. We all know that Fault's biggest problem is the low player base. But one of the problems was that they got review bombed like a motherfucker by Predecessor and Overprime fans. Oftentimes you would see these horrible negative reviews with somebody with 0.1 hours into the game. Like they downloaded Fault just so that they could give it a negative review. I don't want to see that happen with Pred and Overprime because that's going to kill both games if the two sides of that coin review bomb the shit out of each other. Because we all know, well, I know at least because I play a lot of different games on Steam, is when I'm going through and I see mixed reviews on a game, I usually don't fucking play it. So that concerns me. That is really concerning, seeing how that happened to Fault. Seeing a lot of major content creators shit on Fault just because they could. Like I think we're critical of all the different games when it needs to happen. We were definitely critical of Fault, but I think a lot of people, like, what did I say? It said it's easy to kick a dead horse, but it's a little harder to take on a lion. Like, yeah, criticizing Fault and talking shit about Fault was easy, but like talking shit about Predecessor, a little more difficult because they have a much larger community around them. I don't know. There's a lot of things went wrong with Fault.
Well, I mean, so that was something we pointed out a few weeks ago, right? Actually, maybe almost a month and a half ago. And this is probably the struggles, though, that they had just with all the hats that they wore. You can go through Steam as the devs and request them to remove what would be considered malicious intent reviews. So if you're, because Steam doesn't want the platform to be considered a place where trolling and review bombing is viable, right? Because that just hurts the whole sphere of but you needed somebody to reach out to them and go through all the hoops that Steam was going to throw at them. If you're wearing 6 different hats, it might be difficult to spare the time to go and do that. And whereas I don't think that Overprime or Predecessor are going to have that issue. They'll probably have a member or 2 members or whoever dedicated to making sure that stuff is handled appropriately. At least I would assume so, just with the amount of money that they have backing them. Whereas for Fault, it obviously seemed like money was spread thin, hats were spread everywhere. So that makes it really hard, to multitask all those different things. And I think it just goes back to something that we've been talking about for a long time. It's a multitude of issues and complications to keep a game like this going. And it's still, again, a big kudos the fact that they were able to make it last for 2+ years, because that's pretty crazy. Like with the small dev team, the budget the way that it was, that's still pretty nuts. And so they should be proud of that, at least, even though it's obviously coming to an end.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any final thoughts on Fault before we start moving on to getting into the news for some of the other games?
No, I mean, I would encourage anybody, once the partner panel comes out, I think it'll probably get loaded up on Windows, but you can probably go watch it now. If you weren't there for the partner panel, it was really, really cool getting to see everybody who's been part of the community show up there and talk. And there were some really interesting conversations. I think it's worth watching. It was like 4 hours long. So be prepared for that. But it was a really cool send-off, and I really applaud the guys putting that together and getting as many people as they could to come in there and show the love for the game. Because again, I'm just echoing what Mangus has said, and I said too, is just that was Paragon for the last 2 years. Right now, until when these things stop on November 1st, we don't have another game to play until these other guys decide to eventually come out. And so it's kind of weird feeling, especially since I was in the Discord when it came out. I was literally talking shit with guys and we were joking around about things. Then all of a sudden we're like, announcement, oh shit. And it was just, oh man, I kind of got emotional. I know you did too, Mingus. I know you did too. It's a safe space.
I just want to address the Covenant's Limited real quick. He's talking about the review bomb thing, and like the Fault needed some of those reviews 100%. Like if you had an actual problem with Fault and had constructive criticism to give them and didn't like the game, that is perfectly fine. And 100%, if you want to give it a thumbs down and give it a negative review, that's fine. What I'm talking about is the people, like I said, that had 0.1 hours in the game and were giving it negative reviews. Like obviously people just review bombing to be review bombing or what have you. But if you had actual constructive criticism, then hell yeah, of course, fucking throw your 2 cents in there.
This is why I like Epic Games, though. for only that reason, because they don't allow you to put in a comment. You do review it, but I don't think you're able to put in a comment from last time I checked.
I don't think you can even review it in Epic Games, can you?
Whatever, right? I think you can put a 5-star and stuff like that, but you don't leave a comment. You can't be toxic if you wanted a trashy game.
I think the hard part with that, though, is that Steam is just so much bigger of a platform than any of the other game hosting companies. I mean, Epic is obviously a big game company, but they're not nearly on the same level as Steam is going to be for that stuff. Most people are going to go to Steam charts to get an idea. But yeah, that's all I had to say.
The only thing I can say for Fault, to be honest with you, before we move on, I want to say through Arma, thank you for giving us a game for the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you for having such a small company, right? You have all these other companies who have backings and right, and you were still able to give us a game with the limited power that you had, and allowed us to have fun and make friends and enjoy ourselves. I mean, I can't give them props enough.
I agree. And he held it down well when he was getting punched, by those of us in the community. When we were giving pretty aggressive feedback, he handled it, I think, well. And I think that takes a lot to win, because sometimes we forget, right? Like it's really easy to just see SMS and think about the unknown entity, but there's human beings behind this, right? And we talked about this on the show a few weeks ago too. It's like nobody wants to clock in and be like, I'm going to be a piece of shit dev today, and I'm not doing fuck all. That's gonna make the game better. Like nobody was clocking in and thinking that. At least I doubt they were thinking that. I would be really surprised if they were. So I think that's something we always have to remember, is that there are humans on the other side of this. They're obviously trying to do their best with the stuff that they have access to. And so I do appreciate that they put themselves in the line of fire and took it pretty well most times. I know there were some sometimes when they didn't handle it that great, but for the most part, it was handled well. But I do wish there was more communication from the dev team to us, but it is what it is now.
Yeah, that's
all. I'm good.
All right, Stunt. Any final comments about Fault?
That's it.
Oh, there's Jelly. Jelly's in the chili. How'd your ass bleaching go?
Your butthole bleach. Oh, he can't hear us because the TSA is loud, so he doesn't even get to defend himself.
Oh, good.
Also, he's getting it bleached and searched at the same time.
Yeah.
Oh.
I bet that's why he had it bleached, so that TSA could have a better experience.
It was easier. Yeah.
Ah, shit. All right. Are you guys ready to move on to Predecessor?
I guess.
I mean, I don't want to spend all night talking about Fault. I know it's sad and all that, but the show must go on. We got other games to cover.
Well, let's do it.
All right, let's move on into Predecessor. Predecessor this week released early access footage of Kallari, and it showed off a lot of what we already knew about Predecessor, which is extremely smooth gameplay. You guys, I put a video out if you want to know what I thought about it, but something I noticed while specifically putting this together for the show tonight, when Kallari gets, I know this is just a small little thing, but God, it just shows you the attention to detail that Omeda has put into Pred. When Kallari gets her spell shield, the bubble that goes around you, it actually interacts with the ground as she's moving. It's not just a flat cutoff on the ground. You'll see it later on in the video when she gets it. Like it's like takes into account the environment around her. Like that is such a small detail, but it brings in so much immersion. Yeah, and that's, again, there wasn't a lot new here, but what we did see was more of what has made Predecessor what it is. So I think that's really good to see. Stunt, what were your thoughts on the early access Kallari gameplay from Predecessor?
At this point now, Mangoose, like when Predecessor puts out videos like this, right, where the attention to detail is there, it's not a surprise anymore. Coming from a company that we know is a perfectionist, right? So when you're watching gameplay from Predecessor and you're watching the animations, the interactions between the visuals and stuff, it's come to a point where it's not a surprise anymore. I know that Predecessor has the ability to do this, and they've been doing it from the beginning. But what I did notice that I liked was their UI. Their UI, the organization on the UI, where their card system is on the far right in a vertical, and instead of on the bottom, covering a lot of the screen. Just perfect. I mean, there's nothing much you can say. It was a great video. The only thing I saw in your video that you caught before anyone else did was Kallari's free roam camera mode, which was a surprise to me because it kind of takes the ganking or the ganking of the lanes away. But again, the thing is that when we get into game, that's when it's really going to show how beneficial it was or how much of it needs to be changed. You know what I mean?
Quick answer to Monochromatics question in the chat that they say how long this clip is from. I think they said 2 months ago is from what I heard.
I think it was.
Is it jerking around on stream for you guys? Is that me or is
I thought it was my internet or my connection, but it is at least for me it's jumping around a little bit. Is your bit rate messing up?
Maybe. Okay, it looks like it's smoothed out.
Yep.
Hopefully we won't have any problems there. If we did blame Windu, he helped me set my stream up to make it better.
I wonder he's not showing up to the chat right now. He's not in here.
Okay, 2 weeks. Chat is saying 2 weeks is when this this footage is from.
Not checking. I do agree with the take that this is the expectation. I think for Predecessor, right? That's one of the things that us on this show and people across the board have been talking about how clean the game feels for Pred, right? And it is those little things, right? Like even like her, whatever those antenna things that are coming off the back, they don't always just fly super up in the air. They fall, naturally when she falls. Like if it's a small fall, they only lift a little bit. If it's a big fall, they lift really high up in the air like they are now when she's coming off the thing. So it does matter. All of those things make you feel more immersed in this. So from that perspective, it was cool to watch. But I have to say, it was one of the most boring gameplay videos I've ever watched. It was
it was a little boring.
And it just felt like I don't know, dude. It was just like, okay, so the skill expression that they showcased was she hits stealth, goes into lane, ganks, and then leaves. Like it was just the most, I don't know. It never felt, and she goes into the jungle and never loses mana or health. She's just at full.
Yeah, Bearded just mentioned that in chat. Yeah,
bro, it's just, I don't know. So there was a lot of those things. It just was like I struggled to watch it. I knew I needed to watch the whole thing because obviously we were going to do the show and I wanted to be able to talk about it. It was so boring, dude. It was so boring. But the UI looks cool. I know Jelly had some comments about seeing the update on the quest. I think it's fine personally. If it's toggleable, that would be nice maybe. So for people who don't care about keeping track of it, you maybe can turn it off or minimize it or something like that. But I think it's fine. It doesn't distract so much and it's valuable information, which I think is kind of cool anyway. But
I really like that they include the crest quest into the UI because the first playtest, I was so confused at how far along I was. I know I could probably, I could bounce out and take a look at it real quick in the item shop screen, like how far along, but that's just a pain in the ass. Having it just right there on your screen so was much better. And then, to your point, it is a bit boring. I blame Kallari a little bit because I think any Kallari footage personally is a little boring to me. I don't like like you said, the jungle is a bit too easy. That's a problem I had with Predecessor in the last closed beta test. It was way too easy to jungle. At least now you have an active smite. They showed that as an active item now. It used to be just whenever, if your smite was off cooldown and the minion got low enough, it would auto smite it. I'm glad they changed that. But and this is just completely, well, it's not completely unedited. They cut a few seconds out of the video, but it's just full gameplay. You would think if they were going to do something big like that, they would cut it down to just the exciting parts or something like that. However, if they did that, if they released something that was just the exciting parts, I would probably be here right now and be like, why the fuck didn't they do full gameplay? You know what I mean? Like, I don't. That's not really a
find something to complain about. What kind of weirdo talking heads are we? Where we just want to find something to complain about in general? No, I do agree, and there's something to be said too, right? Because Jelly was quick to say that he's like, that's just the style in which she jungles, right? And that's fine, but it kind of lends to something that I think you mentioned in your video, and we definitely talked about in the Discord, was that it seemed almost like a gut a gut instinct thing to put out, or a quick thing to put out because of the Overprime news, right? Yeah. They quickly threw together something and put it out. Now, I don't hate everything about it. Like, again, it's really cool to see a lot of the stuff. I'm not a hater of the free roaming camera like you guys are. In fact, that's something that I told when I was a tester for Ethereal that I thought would be a really cool idea, especially considering how much verticality they play with in Ethereal. Having the free roaming camera would really, really help out a lot. They didn't take my advice on it as far as I know, but I don't hate the free roaming camera as much as you guys did. And finding out that it was part of Paragon at some point also was
late in the game at Paragon, but yeah, it was eventually added into Paragon.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily that we hate it. It's just changes the game a little bit more. Where if you're still laning in a lane and you're able to change that camera and see who's coming out of the jungle, whereas other times you have to be more careful, more aware. Having the free roam camera and having that little symbol showing up where you're getting attacked from, I think gives it a bit more advantage to laners, in my opinion. But again, we won't know until the game comes out and we actually see how much of it is going to make a difference. But that was my take on it, seeing a free roam camera.
It's nothing huge, and it's kind of like one of those things that I often say that they need to just follow their own vision. If they think that this is necessary, then fucking go with it. Like, don't listen to my dumbass. Like, there's something to be said about sometimes not listening to the community. Like, don't listen to the community so much that you lose sight of your own game and you're just all over the place. With your development process. So if they think that free look is good, leave it in. If they think the widgets are good, leave it in. Like the widgets that fault that where somebody's coming up behind you, it's whatever. It's not a fucking not a deal breaker for me. I'm like, what the fuck? You could look your camera around. I'm not playing this shit. That's,
right.
It's definitely not to that level. It's just something weird that I noticed, and it's definitely weird knowing that it was in Paragon. It's like. And you still meet people that didn't know that you could jump through a Gideon portal, and like this, I feel like one of those people right now. I was like, wait, what? I could have done that in Paragon,
I think personally, I think it will add in a lot more nuance to the game than people are really expecting. Like, I think that at lower end, it's going to help out with new players to be able to, have a better understanding of the world that they're in. And then when you get into higher gameplay, it can make or break, ganks, and, really competitive play will be using that camera to a bigger availability. Like, I mean, using League of Legends, for example, a lot of people don't realize you can use the F1 keys to be able to target your allies' camera. You can go to where they are on the map, and pros use that really efficiently to keep vision on what's going on and understanding the full context of the game. I think anybody who wants to lose more information is probably bad at the game. That's the way I look at it. If giving more opportunity to your players to be able to utilize information and use their skill set of being able to press multiple buttons at once is a good thing. I think adding a skill cap while also helping new players who are like walking around and wanting to be able to move their head on a swivel, because that's how you walk in real life. You look like this. Turn your whole body to be able to look over and see where everything is.
I do.
No, you don't. No, you do not do that. But that's just my take on it. Obviously, we'll have to see what it looks like once we're actually in it. But yeah, I do think it was a success. I'm glad that even if it was a reaction to the Overprime thing, that they did it anyway. Like, I'm happy to see it. Like, it was cool. I think the parts of the UI that I really enjoyed was seeing full outlines of enemies that were in vision, seeing what they're doing. It was really also interesting to see how easy it was to get out of Decker cage. You know what I mean? Like that was really funny. Like every time she threw it up, she just jumped out. Just like,
yeah, I mean it's Kallari. Like you're not going to cage a Kallari.
I know, but it was just funny. Like, why did you even use that ability? What were you thinking? Also, I wanted to point out, and this one was more something I just thought was hilarious, that she was fed as hell and still lost to the 1v1 versus the Chimera. And to me, that just shows how strong Chimera is, because she was like, I think like 8-0. I think it's right now live. She's like full health, full mana, and she just gets her butthole stomped by this Chimera. Just devastated. I think she gets CC'd once by whoever came in. But anyway, that's my take on it.
Yeah, Chimera does look dangerous. Like I'm watching the gameplay, a lot of that gameplay footage, like you could tell that he was just healing through anything, and Decker finally hit him with a stun, and which is how you defeat Chimera. So
yeah, Bellica showed up at the end. You're right, J Wolves, but still, she went from full health, full mana to dead, and she's fed as fuck, right? Like she's I don't know.
Yeah, that Bellica was fucking rocking this game. Like that Bellica was good.
You know what else I noticed though with that specific example? That Predecessor knows which heroes are supposed to be squishy and which are not. Like it.
Yeah, true.
With the fed Kallari, you don't get that snowball effect. She still 1v1 a tank and lost, or was gonna lose, which is amazing. That is that attention to detail.
Monochromatic says make blink into items. I don't see why we're forced to have a blink. I kind of see that.
So,
you kind of get the crest though. Like you get the blink and you get the crest. Like you get. I don't think it's taking away anything. It's just adding a little more.
Did Paragon have it too at one point?
What's that?
Blink item. I think they had a blink item. I don't think they had
like that.
I can't remember.
I can't understand what you guys are saying.
I vaguely remember Paragon having a blink with the cooldown without having to use an item.
No, Paragon never had that.
No,
absolutely not.
So I know that's like something else too that people, I mean, and Jelly has his takes on it, right? I when I think of like League of Legends, everybody almost always takes Flash, which is basically the blink that most people are familiar with. So in almost every single game you have Flash. It's something that eventually everybody just kind of gets used to playing around. I think the main issue with, the current assets that are available in the champions is that League balances around blink, whereas this is not necessarily balanced around blink yet. I think it could be, but a lot of these champions are going to benefit a lot more from that extra mobility versus some that will not. And I think that's why it's really difficult for people to really understand how it's going to make a big, how big of an impact it's going to have when CC is not as point and click as it is in League of Legends. When there's not as many big AOE CCs that like you will find in a lot of other games. So having that blink and understanding cooldowns on it and all that stuff, I think is valuable and can still have like really high competitive play to it. Right now in its current iteration, it could probably feel really hit or miss on how good or bad it is for the game because of just the current champions that are offered. As the game evolves more, you can hope that maybe they can balance around that and make it a little bit, more nuanced, but it's a balance issue more than anything. So I don't think it's bad to have it, but you really have to understand your balancing to be able to make it work well.
Jelly hates the free blinks in Pred. Personally, I don't care. Like I'm like, yeah, that's another one of those things. Like I could take it or leave it. I really don't care either way. It's not a big sticking point for me. I'm just glad they don't have boots. I hate boots. Oh yeah. Speaking back to fault, that they were planning on getting rid of boots, which I would have loved to have seen. But I don't know. Like I said in that video, like I kind of wanted them to show off their money in this, and you really don't see it. However,
that was a big one.
You do know, like after they got that money, they hired that back end company. They've hired a couple other different outside resources. They've been spending that money wisely. But I would have liked to have seen some skins in this video, or like a hero that we had never seen before, or something like that. Like I wanted to see something a little more exciting. We hadn't gotten anything from them for a month. They don't owe it to us. None of these companies owe us nearly as much as we want them to give us, but it would have been nice to see.
I think it's, to me, and I would love to hear Stunt's take on this too, because like I think it's a double. I think it's a double-edged sword because, like, for me, it was like not only did they not showcase anything that shows like where they put the money, but in the same week, we got the break here on FTM that there's going to be a paid for early access. So it's not only like we're not showing you where the money is that we've already gotten in the game, right? We can make good assumptions that they're using it on back end things and and prepping for launch and advertising and all that stuff. Was you can hopefully assume that's where a good majority of the money, but those two things combined together to me was like, okay, so not only are you not showing us where the money went in a big way, but you're also going to just confirm that you're going to be asking us for money as players when the game comes early access. So it's like a double wallet hit for me. You know what I mean? What was your thoughts on that, Stunt? I would be really curious.
I mean, it could go either way. I don't know if the money was if it was hardwired into their account and they had the full access to it, or this was promised where somebody's backing them with a little bit each time, or whatever the case may be. Maybe they're putting it into marketing. You know what I mean?
Sure.
As far as the game goes, I understand what Magus is, and you guys are actually, both of you are trying to say is you wanted something a little bit different from the closed betas we had, and we only see a UI difference and some interactions, right? Between everything. Again, it's a subject where it's really hard to speak about because that money can disappear really quick when it comes down to marketing and other stuff. Maybe they hired more team members. Maybe they decided they're going to start paying, like you guys said, in the back end, start paying for servers or somebody to run the servers on to make sure they have a smooth gameplay. So.
But Stunt, that's not exciting. It's not sexy, okay? I can't see it in a gameplay, man.
You wanted a 4K gameplay?
I wanted money showering across the screen and showing me where.
In the military, when you were doing a presentation, you put what we called OFDs in, which were officer fascination devices. It was bright, shiny shit that didn't make a goddamn bit of a difference. But if you could do some cool shit with PowerPoint, then all the officers would love you. So
yeah.
Robert Jones, we got a highlighted comment. Someone owes me a working version of Paragon that isn't in early access or beta. Oh, eventually, man. It's gonna be a while though.
Soon TM. There you go.
if Predecessor comes back and says they're in a movie with Vin Diesel or something, hey, you know where that money went there.
Are you leaking that you've been working on a Predecessor as a stunt in a movie?
Yeah. Fast and Furious went to space. Now they're gonna come back and play Predecessor.
I can see it actually. I could see that happening. That especially with that series in particular, they'll do anything, man. Oh boy. Oh, that we're getting to see the bubble that you were talking about. That looks sick. It does. That's the thing. It does look really, really cool.
Oh yeah.
It looks super buttery, super smooth. It's hard to be mad at that stuff. And I know we're giving it a little bit of a hard time, but again, I'm excited. It does look fun. Yeah. But I wish there was some sexy money scenes, as Kat's pointing out.
Yeah. But anyway, it was cool to see something from it. It's been like a month.
Yep.
Since we got anything from Pred, it was nice to finally have something to talk about on here when it comes to Omega Studios. So hopefully Smokey was still watching in the chat and he hears our cry for skins.
I didn't read all of Kat's message. It was like it popped up there. He got a scared dominatrix having a wet noodle slap against tanks and losing.
Funny.
That's very good. I do also want to say, like, while we're transitioning to the next one, dude, there's a lot of people here. Thank you guys all for showing up, man. The stream is popping off. Appreciate you guys all for showing up, man. We're happy to have you guys. And please throw in questions or comments. We'll try and get to them live. But if we miss one, we'll address it at the end of the show. So
throw a man goose in the chat if you got him. I always wanted to say that.
There you go. You're talking about money shots. Exactly, Sig. I needed more money shots.
Who spends 20 minutes without a money shot? Oh God.
If that's what we're talking about, let's just change the river into a flowing money.
Yes.
down the middle of the map.
Man, we were talking about money shots. You started talking about a river. I was like, where is he going with this?
I liked where he was going with it.
Let's dive away from that. Anything final you guys want to say about Predecessor before we move into Overprime?
I do. I will say, actually, in some of the kill cams, we got to see some more glimpses. So when Kallari did die, we got to see some of the other champions doing things. Super cool to see. Also, it was really neat. Oh my gosh, I'm totally blanking on his name, but when he's up in the air doing his ultimate,
Howitzer,
he's got Howitzer doing all the rockets again and the movement and all. It was so cool to see. So that was probably the most exciting part, was when Kallari was dead, because we got to see somebody else doing something. But that's my final thing. Really cool video. Very happy that they put it out, and I can't wait to see more from them. But yeah, I'll probably still have something to complain about with it, because why not?
I love that Jelly's not here to talk about a Kallari video. Stunt, you got anything final you want to say about Pred before we move on to Overprime?
I think Jelly just called an Uber. He's coming back to join us. About Kallari right now. No, my hat's off to them. They're doing an amazing job there. It shows that they're the nickname given to them, Perfectionist, it shows the attention to the detail. I just can't wait to play. I mean, that's all we're sitting here. 2 more months left for the end of the year. Can't wait to play.
Yeah, I know, right? All right. Well, with that, let's go ahead and move on into Overprime. And now I got to actually bring up the notes a little bit. So they had another OP for the record. It was almost all of it was just them talking about the in-house tournament. Like, there wasn't a whole lot new. They were talking about the in-house tournament. They were talking about their recently being able to use the Paragon name as their name. So it's I think people probably gonna start calling it PTO, Paragon the Overprime. So pretty cool stuff there. I mean, like I said, wasn't anything new, but I always really love these OP for the records or whatever that they do, because they all seem like they're having fun. Like they're all having a good time. It's good to see like Ranger and Jon Snow and all those guys. Jon Snow was pimping out his Paragon jacket that he got from Epic like a long ass time ago. Other than that, as far as stuff that they've updated this week, the hero skin visual effects improvements and tutorial system improvements. So again, they're scraping the bottom of the barrel of shit that they need to do before this game comes out. So I think it's going to be coming out sooner rather than later. And then the final thing we had, they will be at G-Star. G-Star is it's going to be in Busan, Korea. Like it's a big gaming conference or whatever the hell, and it's from November 17th, 19th. So maybe we'll get some more announcements there. And we'll also say that keep your ears to the ground, guys, because there might be a pretty big Overprime announcement pretty soon. So just keep a lookout, pay attention to Soul Leave. All right, so Overprime, you got any what you got about Overprime this week, Viking Jedi? What's your thoughts? What's your opinions?
Well, so before I jump in too much on Overprime, I want to Covetous Lemon said, are the Discord noises in the background part of the perfectionism for the for the predecessor video? Because they had the Discord noises. I thought that was hilarious. It made me reminded of something else. I think part of the reason why it was as boring as it was for me was also because they had the announcers turned off, right? They did say that was intentional, that they turned it off, but I think missing out on having that announcers for every time she got a kill and stuff made the gameplay a little bit more lackluster. Okay, with that out of the way, Overprime is, absolutely in cleanup phase, dude. I'm really excited to know more about what the tutorial stuff is, because I think that's something that I personally preach a lot about, is that in order for any of these games to survive, they're going to need to have a really amazing onboarding system for new players. People who are coming back, people who are experienced in maybe third-person MOBAs might not need a full handhold tutorial, but anybody who's brand new to the game, if you are a friend like, hey, dude, we're playing this game Overprime, it's so fun, jump on, play the tutorial for and you'll be ready to go. If they can't do that, if they can't have people onboarding really efficiently into the game, it's going to be really difficult to maintain a high enough player base. We saw that with Vault. So hopefully that means that they're really getting good at it, and it's going towards the place that I want it to be at, which is we need new players, and we need new players that understand how to play the game and can come in and actually enjoy the game, because otherwise I think it's going to struggle. But that's my most excited for is the tutorial system.
Yeah, it seems like that's kind of like Fault and Pred both sort of ignored that not everybody that's coming to play these games are old Paragon fans. At least Overprime, they had a problem with their tutorial. I'll tell you that right now. Like, it was unoptimized as hell. Like, I don't know what the hell went on with their tutorial, but there were people that were getting in and like weren't playing the game because they thought that the game was fucked up or their system couldn't run it because they couldn't run that tutorial, which was a terrible first impression for Overprime when the first thing you have to do is broken. So good. It's a good thing to see that getting fixed. Stunt, what do you got to say for Overprime this week?
Well, Overprime has that hold my beer moment. Earlier we were talking about showing off the money, and then you have Overprime that's here going, I think we did everything we can. Now let's go back to fixing skins. I mean, that's what it feels like. Like, these guys, the confidence that these guys have for their own game.
Really good word for it. Yeah.
It's out of this role. Where they're not afraid to show off stuff. Oh, here, we updated the skins. Look at it. Look at the visuals. Or the vibrant colors, the stuff that these guys are using on their map. It's their confidence level. When we were playing Paragon, we were used to like that old rundown ruins type look, and you have Overprime with these vibrant colors and the visual effects, like the clutter of animation. It's crazy. I love it. I mean, and the fact that their devs understand how to communicate with everybody. Like, if you watch their video with the interviews, Ranger and Jon Snow do both come out here and say, look, we might have changed our name to Paragon, right? But we are no way in shape or form actually telling you that we're bringing back, like, our game is going to be exactly 100% like Paragon. They said, we know that there's going to be differences. This is our vision, and this is the choice we made to change the name, which is amazing. And earlier I didn't comment too, Viking, when you were mentioning about the toxicity level. I was waiting for us to get to Overprime. Overprime does that a lot in their Discord. I know Mangus has seen it. If you're out of line, even for a tad bit in Overprime, you get that bot warning on their Discord. They don't tolerate anything, which is amazing. And we saw that at the closed beta. As soon as somebody was toxic enough in the game where it gave them a reason to kick them, you were on that list where everybody saw what you did.
Yeah.
This guy's kicked and you're done.
Yep.
So it's a great start. Hopefully it can continue on like that. As the player base gets bigger, you know what I mean?
Mangus.
What?
You got to see glimpses of your girl. Didn't you,
Aurora?
I'm surprised that wasn't one of the first things you wanted to lead with. Like, you were talking about when we were doing these shows.
We talked about it last week.
Yeah, but we didn't give her as much as I thought you were going to go into more detail and talk about her kit more. And you were just like, oh yeah, she was there. I'm blown away by it.
Aurora wasn't my girl, and she's the one that I wanted to see at.
That's what I'm saying, though.
Wraith is the one I wanted to see added the most, and Wraith is added into the game, which is fucking badass. So,
all right, fine. Let's not talk about her then. Don't worry about it.
We don't have to talk about Aurora.
No, I don't want to
talk about it. What I want to talk about, we have a great question in chat from Passion Guard. Do you think a battle pass kind of similar to Overwatch 2 would hurt the game, or do you think it depends on what they're offering within the pass? I think both. I think it depends on what they're offering within the pass. What I think it really comes down to is, are they going to charge for early access and then have a battle pass? Because that's what fucked Fault over pretty hardcore. You had to buy early access and then a battle pass on top of that, like extra. So if they have a free early access, then I think a battle pass would be a great idea.
Here's what worries me, though, if you put a battle pass.
Betrayed the Aurora cult.
Here's what kind of bothers me. I think in a game, you either have a battle pass or you have a loot box. If Overprime promised us only skins in a loot box and they're not hiding heroes behind it, what's the battle pass going to really give you? You know what I mean? Can you actually have both of those in one field, like in one game? I rarely see it. Usually you have a battle pass to give them some exclusive skins or something like that somebody would want to buy. But if you're putting these skins behind the loot box where people can grind and earn them, I don't think battle pass is necessary.
So the only game that I know that it has it, and I wouldn't say it's implemented well, to your point, is League of Legends. They have everything. You can direct buy, you can buy boxes, and you have an event battle pass, basically, where they do stuff with it. I'm not a fan of it personally. I'm not a fan of loot boxes at all. The only time I'm okay-ish with loot boxes is if it's part of your free progression. So like instead of like giving away currencies or eventually earning up to a skin or having a free path in the battle pass like a lot of them do, you're giving out loot boxes on level ups, or you're giving where people can have a gambling chance to earn something. I'm more okay with that as like a free to earn path. I'm much more okay with the battle pass, and the reason why is most people I should say like an RPG element. I'm progressing towards something. I can visually see my progression towards it. I want to feel like I'm earning something, whether that's the free path like they do in a lot of games or the paid for path, the premium path, whatever you want to call it. Having access to those I think is valuable, and that's the monetary scheme, like direct buy of skins that you want, have a price point for those, and then having a battle pass. I think those to me are the best ways to go about it. Get rid of loot boxes as a whole, follow the Overwatch way, just get rid of it. Just let people buy what they want to buy, charge a reasonable amount for it. This is the main thing. If you bring good content, people will interact with it. If the skins are good enough, if the battle pass is intriguing enough and engaging enough, people will buy it and they'll participate in it. I like battle passes because it encourages people to log in every day and keeps your numbers up. As long as you have a good player base, battle passes work really well. That's my take on it.
What I think these games should have, and we've mentioned this with Mangoose before for during the partner panel too, the likeliness of any of Overprime or Predecessor doing it is slim to none. But being able to customize your own hero. If you have Twin Blast and you don't want to use the guns and you want to use the water guns instead, having the ability to customize it a little bit, which is not easy, right? And then putting a battle pass to that, or putting even in cases like this, because we know for sure Overprime is going to have loot boxes for skins. That would make it fun for people to grind for. Where you want to have Sevarog's the skin you're using, but you maybe want his little weapon to be different or whatever, or his spikes to be a different color. I mean, I know it's hard to do, but
that would be cool though.
Do have the money,
would be cool,
and would have the ability to do it.
And other games have done it, right? Like, so it's not like, I mean, you could look at, I know we don't like saying this word on here, but I think Fortnite changed the game as far as how to monetize a free-to-play game. And when you look at their battle pass system, their skin system, everything is fairly customizable. You can have a different pickaxe, you can have different, float, whatever the glider thing is. You can customize the shit out of your character to really feel unique. And then they also add in, which I think is super smart. And even though I dislike it as a consumer because it drives me nuts, but having limited edition things, so people who have either earned a space in rank, right? So like in League, if you get to gold, you get a special skin for hitting gold, whereas nobody else below gold gets that skin. So it really pushes people to want to hit at gold at least. In Fortnite, you have the same thing, limited edition skins that only so many people have. When you see someone running around with that skin, you go, oh dude, that guy got that skin, that was hard to get. It has value in universe. And I do think both of these titles that we're left with can do that. I especially feel like Overprime probably can do that even more so. And it does seem to fit their MO of wanting to have more flashy things. I mean, we even talked about back animations looking a little bit different. The way that the sounds that you make when you launch off the pads, the different landing animations, or in this case, we're seeing like even when they go into travel mode, you do a cool flip, maybe you jump onto like a scooter. I don't know. Like, they can add so many cool things to make it a little bit more unique and fun. And I think that's valuable, and that's a good way to monetize. It doesn't impact the game in any way, shape, or form, but it can make the game more fun and engaging and feel more immersed in it with your character and the game that you're playing every month.
Yeah, that's like a whole different episode. What kind of cool travel mode stuff we get, because I could see FaZe on roller skates. I could see FaZe taking off on roller skates. That would be cool,
right?
Or Narbash carrying his carry on his shoulders because they're in dueling.
Money Ghost, I am referencing a lot of League stuff, and the reason why League is the most successful, and a lot of the things that League has is not, it's so unique that it can't be borrowed and applied without it feeling kitschy or cringe, right? Like, I mean, even Fault, to Arma's credit, in my opinion, because I think he was probably one pushing for a lot, they started adding elements to, like, if you look at Iggy's kit, it's a lot like League of Legends characters kit that does the same thing in Heimerdinger. So it's not a bad thing to copy success and still have it unique to your system, as long as it's fun and engaging, which I don't care if they steal similar ideas as long as it does that. You know what I mean?
Mango's, correct me if I'm wrong, but these games already kind of implement from League, right? A lot of them.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's the spots,
items and shit,
art systems, items. Yeah. So I think they are looking at that the League pond and pulling valuable information from it.
Mm-hmm.
Dapper, 100%. See her doing some Heelys down the fucking lane. But anyway. I think that's about it for Overprime. It was actually light news for Overprime for once. So maybe we'll get something big tonight. I don't know, but it was pretty light tonight for Overprime. They got pushed out of the first slot. They've been first slot for what seems like months now. Yeah. But
let me ask you this: the G Star, is that as big as we have here? Like
yes,
it's pretty big.
Comic-Con and stuff like that. The gaming, the E3.
Yeah, it's pretty massive, and it's been on hold for like the last 2 years because of COVID or something like that, or 3 years. So it's a pretty big deal. Yeah. Now, what their booth and all that stuff will look like, obviously, we'll have to wait and see. But
oh no, we know it's pretty large.
Did they already? Oh, see, I didn't know that. So
yeah, it's what Netmarble has one of the larger booths at the convention.
I just didn't know if Overprime would have, just be sharing a space with Netmarbles and all the other titles that Netmarble is going to be promoting there, or if they would have their own separate. That's what I didn't know.
It seems, from what I've seen, Netmarble has been promoting the shit out of Overprime, like on TikTok and stuff like that. So I think Netmarble's putting a lot of eggs into Soul Leave's basket to try and be their Netmarble's first successful PC and then into console game. So they're putting a lot of faith in the Soul Leaves. So I can't imagine that they would not promote the shit out of them at G Star, or G String as I've been calling it. A little worried that it's in Busan. From what I know about Busan from movies, is that there's zombies there. So a little concerned about them there, but I'm sure they've got it handled.
I think they can handle it.
They got Jon Snow with them. Just give him a couple of pistols. He'll rip through any goddamn zombie horde you throw at him.
You know what that does bring? So I know we mentioned it slightly, but it was super cool. Like, Jon Snow is a competitive dude, right? Like, and when they lost the tournament, Jon Snow's team lost the tournament, and you could see the little jabs, and his face was a bit pained. Yeah, I'm stoked with that. That makes me so happy that there's devs that are playing this game that, like, they're so competitive. And I know he was big in Paragon too, but like that they're wanting to make sure that, and I know they have like a whole team dedicated to esports as well, which is super exciting. I don't know. It's hard for me not to get excited because Overprime gives us so much to be excited about. I know Predecessor is doing a lot of things behind the scenes, but it's behind the scenes. And I know I've personally gotten critiqued for, like, you're always hyping up Overprime. And I'm like, well, because Overprime gives me something to be hyped about. Predecessor's so closed about what they're doing and not doing. I have less to be excited about.
Right.
But I know that there's opportunity to get excited. It's just not shown. So Predecessor, give me something to be excited about and complain about, because I will. Anyway, that's all I had to say.
All right.
Rank 1 on the Chinese server? That's crazy. I did not know
and
that.
like third or fourth, or something like that in the West Coast. Like,
really? That's so wild.
Yeah.
That's so wild. That's super fucking cool.
All right. You guys got anything else for Overprime before we move into a Thar? Thorough. All right, let's move.
You have to do the thing. You have to say
Ethereal in a weird way.
Yeah.
Ether.
There you go.
Ethereal?
That's the skin. That's the skin I want for them. I want an ether. I want an ether bunny skin.
Owen was in here earlier saying Ethereal win. I think he's the guy that would know that, though, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, he would definitely be the one to know it. So Ethereal this week, not too much big news. We saw in their map update that the towers look different. They released a video showing that their spires and towers are way different.
Oh my god, yeah.
You get a before and an after here of both sides of the map with the changes to their spires and towers. That spire almost has a damn face on it. So this is pretty cool. One of the complaints I had about Ethereal was,
I haven't seen these.
It's kind of cool, but it was kind of annoying at the same time. Whenever you were attacking a tower, the tower, like, it goes through phases of destruction. Like, you can knock parts of the tower off, and that's how you know when it's about to fall. But a lot of times you would like knock the middle out of the tower, and it would just be floating, and then like, but you can still shoot the empty space, and like, so maybe this will somewhat address that problem. I don't know, but they look fantastic. They look really great. Sick. I think.
I didn't get to see this video when Jelly submitted it to you because I just didn't watch it. But like this is amazing. Holy crap. Bro, Ethereal's so easy to get excited for too. Like, I know it's like far out, but man, I'm so happy that they've been getting more stuff for us to be able to look at, because that's just sexy in my opinion. Those towers look cool.
I've said it from day one, and I'm gonna say it until they have all these games are full released. Ethereal is gonna open the doors and bring in a lot more MOBA players around the world, or introduce them to MOBA to a point where Overprime and Predecessor are gonna thank these guys, because their creativity, their laning, the way that their heroes are structured, you like how they actually interact with each other, right? The heroes, how they have a storyline behind it. You have like goth heroes, you have the heroes, like it brings out a story. People are gonna be intrigued to play this game. Some people are gonna come in, look at the map, and go, Jesus Christ. You know,
yeah, no, right.
So Ethereal, the creativity that's going behind this game, I've said it from day one. These guys are not fishing out of the pond we're used to. These guys are fishing out of the ocean, and they will bring in a player base. They will bring in a different type of player base to this game.
I think so too.
Got a lot of questions in chat asking about Ethereal's monetization. Right now, they're community driven. I don't know if they plan to look for investors or not. I really hope they do. They need investors for Ethereal more than they need for any of the Paragon remakes, I think. Ethereal is currently community driven. That's from Owen. Well, Owen, I think you guys should look for investors. Because I mean, it's such an over the top new experience that I think that they need to fund it. We saw what happened with Fault. Fault tried to go completely community funded, did not work for him. I think, and it seems that the approach for Ethereal is, if you think, hey, it would be cool if you could do this in a MOBA, they put that in. Like the destructible environments, the being able to fly, the climbing up over walls. I saw a comment today talking about one of the Paragon projects, like, wouldn't it be cool if you could just run up on top of the rocks or around side lane? Ethereal, you could do that. They've got ramps up to those rocks, and you can run along the tops of the rocks on the side of the lane. Like, they do all this cool stuff, but they're going to need money to really make it happen, I think.
And I think they're going to need, more devs. Like, of all of this, the studios that I hope pick up some of the Fault devs, I hope Ethereal does. I think they could plug in, start learning, come in and really start helping to, maybe cover the multiple hats that are being worn currently by Ethereal devs. And I think that could be a real success for them if they have the ability to pay for them. Obviously, that would be the big thing. But I do agree. I think funding would go a long way. I obviously understand, same thing with Fault, why they wanted to try and keep it as in-house as possible, because then you don't have to necessarily appease to investors like we might be seeing with Predecessor and going, pay to access. But it's hard, right? Because you need money. You gotta be able to pay the bills and keep the lights on. So it's a tough place for them, I think. But I do agree. It seems like with Ethereal especially, they will hear any idea and give it a shot. Whether it ends up sticking around, that's a whole different story, but they'll try it. You know, they'll be like, oh, that sounds like a good idea. Let's see how it works. You know what I mean? And they'll put it in and they'll put the work in. So it's really, really cool. And I really do hope that a few of the devs get to go over to the Ethereal team, because I really think that they could help out.
Yeah.
And then the best part about Ethereal is you have a balance between a new player and an experienced player when you get into an Ethereal game. Because I've said this before, no matter how good you think you are at a MOBA, you're gonna get your shit kicked in if you walk into Ethereal thinking, "Oh, it's just a click in," and you're gonna get your shit kicked in.
Yeah.
So as a new player, you're gonna learn it. As an experienced player, you're still learning what's happening because it's a completely different platform on its own. Like the way they play, the
So
way
different.
everything happens, is very different. We're used to seeing Kallari jumping around doing all of that. All of a sudden, when somebody climbs up a cliff and you don't see them anymore, it's like, shit.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get ganked from somewhere else. It doesn't matter how experienced you are. It just balances out the way to like the learning curve for Ethereal balances it out both for beginners and experienced players.
I agree with that actually 100%. And Joshua, you're right. If you want Ethereal to succeed, you can go and donate. They have opportunities for you to join their Patreon and so forth. Go to their website. I will also say that even if you don't have the funds to be able to support these devs, just being part of their community, talking about it. I know we give a spotlight here, but interacting with the stuff they put out. So if you follow them on Twitter, give it a like, give it a retweet. Anytime they put stuff up on YouTube, all of those things help get more eyeballs where maybe somebody who didn't realize that this was a project has more disposable income can be like, you know what, I want to support that. And then just by you helping to further the space in which they can occupy can help get more funding or get more eyes on the game. So which is why I'm so stoked that we still continue to cover it here, because I think it's an important project. I agree with Stunt 100%. I think that this game is a MOBA, but will fill or put itself into a position that is so different than any other MOBA that it's going to feel so much more, I don't know, exciting and unique. And I think when massive amounts of people start playing this game and really start messing with the stuff that you can and can't do in this, like, because this world is very, I don't know, customizable. It has a lot of nuance of things you can and can't do, like breaking down walls, climbing, flying. It's wild, and they're still improving it, right? Getting better at the laning phases, getting better at what you can and do in the environment. I mean, the art has gone through the roof from when I first found out about this game a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
Like, look at these turrets, looking at like Fire Lane and Snow Lane. I mean, I still want Void Lane to be more voidy, I keep calling it, but it's in the works from what I understand. I don't know. I'm stoked on Ethereal.
What people are saying in chat is 100% true. They're going to need a really good tutorial because Anukios, I know I probably mispronounced that, said like the confusion for new players is going to drive a lot of people. I've already watched it drive a lot of people away. So they're definitely going to need a good tutorial, and that's why I think, man, I really after Vault went down and we saw everything that happened there, I really want Ethereal to pick up a publisher or investors or something to solidify their money and bring their game to the next level. So, anything final to say for Ethereal before we start closing it out for tonight?
Not really. I mean, again, guys, if you want to support the projects, you can. The links are usually down below. Mangoose does a pretty good job of making sure you guys can find where you can support them.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you, Owen, for being here, man, and answering a few of the questions. I know it's usually very difficult this early in development to be able to really give complex answers for very nuanced questions. There's a lot of stuff that obviously they can't talk about yet, but I just want to give credit to where it's due. The Jelly Knees, Owen, and the team over there at UG Studios are really trying to make sure that the community has an opportunity to provide feedback, interact with what's being released and talk about it. So if you like what you see or you want to see improvements, they're listening. So provide it, give it. Don't be a dick though. You know what I mean? I'll arm wrestle you in real life. But give the feedback, because I think Fault is kind of again showing a lot that lack of communication between dev and community is a big deal. And when you don't feel like you can absolutely, have your voice heard, you feel less involved. You feel like you don't want to support it. You don't care as much when it goes away. And I don't want that for UG and Ethereal. So, that's my final thing to say on it.
And I'll just add a little bit more to what TheVikingJedi said. Please keep in mind, no matter which game you're willing to support, not all of your comments are going to get implemented into the game. You cannot get buttered
for mine.
You made a comment or you wanted some kind of improvement and it didn't happen. You know what I mean? But also, as far as the devs go, yes, we trust in what you guys are doing, right? For all these games, especially Ethereal. And these guys know what they want and the vision that they have. Just because they didn't listen to you doesn't mean, hey, we don't want to listen to you. It's just, it doesn't apply to their gameplay, or you don't know what's happening on the background. But as far from all three companies, especially, yeah, you do get a good response back from the devs. They do provide, they listen to your ideas and they do help you out, and they do provide information, which is amazing. If this continues like this, hey, gonna be a good year next year.
Yeah.
The year after that, I mean,
Big true.
All right,
Malco, are we going to live stream it when it releases? Well, we'll probably all be live streaming when these games come out. At least I know I will be. I'll when, especially since the two that are most likely to come out more recently, I'll be live streaming those guys. As long as so, I will say this for Predecessor. I don't know what their pay to enter is. I'll probably buy it, but I mean, if it's an obscene number, which I don't think it will be, I might not. So we'll see. But if it's in the budget that my wife isn't going to punch me in the face when she sees that I bought it, then I think we'll be okay.
I mean,
that's my take.
I don't think it's going to be more than that fleshlight that you bought the other day. So.
Hey, don't worry about what I buy, okay?
Is it one of the flashlights where you can flash it to the moon and see what they're doing up there?
I didn't say flashlight.
Hey,
okay, I don't know what's going on there, but never mind. It's the bearded game. I don't know.
So I mean, that's going to close it out for the news this week. I'll give you guys a quick opportunity. Any final comments that you want to make, and go ahead and let people know where they can find you. Starting with Stunt.
YouTube, Stunt_V, and Twitch, Stunt_V. And I want to thank you guys for having me on. It's always a blast coming here, chilling with you guys, and giving our opinions on these games that we're forever gonna comment and help improve. I think we're stuck with these games.
I'm just reading chat.
Yeah, me too.
That's popping up. I'm trying to keep a straight face, but that's not helping out in any way, shape, or form.
Wrong podcast? Yeah, probably. It's okay. Well, it is what it is. I guess for me, final thoughts. I mean, I'm sad. I said this on Partner Panel. I am sad to see Vault go. Like, we all knew that it was happening. We definitely levied our fair share of critique towards them. I think warranted. I'm not backing away from any of that, but it is a bit of a bummer, but also encouraging to hear that even the devs like Arma were fighting for the same things we were fighting for, just unfortunately never was able to come to fruition. And it was a little bittersweet getting to see all the stuff that they were working so hard on behind the scenes that never got to come out. I think some of those skins and the plans that they had for the air map and all that stuff were super cool. The ideas were obviously there, just unfortunately couldn't quite get implemented. As far as where you can find me, I will be streaming these games, so please follow me on YouTube because that's where I will be streaming it. If you want to see my scuffed gameplay, but it'll at least be entertaining because I'll probably be either getting yelled at by Jelly Knees, yelling at Jelly Knees, or we'll both be yelling at Mangoose, who will be missing all of his skill shots in whatever lane he chose to be in. But you know. And you can follow me on Twitter. So there you go. I try to interact with people on Twitter. So if you tweet at me, and if you're somebody who's part of the community, I almost always follow back. So yeah, please follow me on Twitter. That's probably where, if you wanted to chat to me directly, you could. But I'm also always active in the Discords. So if you have a question, comment, want to know about my beard, feel free to ping me in one of those too. That's it. That's all I got. What about you, Goose? What are you plugging this week?
Anime stream for this week. We're going to be talking about Konosuba. If you've never seen Konosuba, it's a very easy watch, a very fun little isekai. Cool. I think for the poll, I'm going to. Is Aqua wearing underwear? Is she? Because I don't know. I have no idea. Anyway,
I want my answer. I know what my answer wants to be.
But yeah, that's going to do it for this week. Appreciate everybody coming out. If you're watching this in the live stream, let's get those mangeese in the chat once again. I'll put mine in. I can do that too. Boop, boop, boop. Boop.
And if you're watching the video and you made it this far, throw in a hashtag scuffed Viking or something. That
Yeah,
that you made it this
there
far.
we go. Hashtag scuffed Viking. Yeah,
or jelly,
put that in your comments.
Bleached butthole or something like that.
Jelly knees bleached butthole.
Throw it in the comments.
That is definitely where Jelly was this week. But all right. It's been great hanging out. A lot of great questions, a lot of great interactions with the community. Thank you so much, Jedi, for convincing me to start doing this live.
It's so much more fun, isn't it?
It is. It is. But that's going to be it for this week. This is the For the Minions crew signing off. You guys have a good one.
Thank you, Stunt, for being here, brother.
Thank you for
super
having
fun,
me.
man.
Nah, dude, this is fun, man.
Special shout out to channel members: I, Bloodhunter, Blastoise King, Raven, Meow Mix for Men, Jelly Knees, Clorox TV, Joshua Van Noctis, Stunt, Actual Dez, Soul Reaper, J-Man 63, Levy, version 2, Dapper Dice, and Lionheart Official.